was Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock that once said, "It takes two to make a thing go right." Well, it only took two for the Mavs to make this game one go wrong for your Minnesota Timberwolves. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving combined for 63 points to lead the Dallas Mavericks to a 108-105 upset victory right here at the Target Center in Minneapolis. This is Howlin' with the homies, a.k.a. Wolves FANLine, presented to you by ABC, American Building Contractors. Max Fuller here alongside Parker Fox, Mark Rosen, and John Barry. Fellas, we were riding high after that big Game 7 win on Sunday, and then the Wolves and the rest of the Twin Cities were promptly brought back down to earth. And the earth is not flat, despite what Kyrie Irving says, but the Wolves game was indeed a little flat tonight, y'all.
Yeah, we really, Parker, we really haven't had a close game where we broke down the final minutes of the fourth quarter.
Right.
Obviously, the Wolves had that incredible comeback, but they ended up pulling away and winning comfortably in Denver in Game 7. We had one of those tonight.
Yeah.
And that's hopefully what the way this series is going to go, except with the result. And I think the turning point for me was the Wolves led 102-98, 3.5 minutes to go. They got a stop. And then they gave up an offensive board, which turned into a three-pointer.
Yeah.
And then they got a steal. Then they turned it over again. They gave up another three-pointer. So they went from a 102-98 lead. All of a sudden, they're down 104-102 in a heartbeat. And that was, to me, the killer moments. And this is what's going to happen where you have to maintain your composure and do the things that got you here. But it was a nice test because we haven't had a game like this where it came down to the last minute or two, Parker.
Yeah, and same thing happened at the end of the half as well.
Exactly.
And Finch, he mentioned that as well. But yeah, it's that composure thing. This is the Western Conference Finals. This is when everything starts to get serious, and you gotta buckle down and limit mistakes. And I just think there was too much little things that we didn't do great. You hold them to 108 points, you live with that. A Mavericks team that's very offensive, but tonight we just weren't able to kind of get over that hump.
It felt like we let them hang around when the Wolves were hot early, and then that's a team you just can't let hang around. Kyrie Irving looked like vintage Kyrie from the jump, and then Luka Doncic was just an absolute stone-cold killer down the stretch. And like you said, Rose, the Wolves just made a couple of brutal mistakes there at the end. I mean, that offensive interference call was just that's tough.
Cat,
that's real tough.
They reviewed it, and I was talking to Parker about to get his basketball intuition and figure out what you felt about that call, and that certainly was a big one.
Yeah, I mean, it just you anytime I find myself in that position too as well, where you're trying to time that up and you're trying to get it to get off the cylinder. And I think Cat's done such a good job of that. We saw it, at the end of Game 7 against Denver. I'm in Denver, and he had a couple of those putbacks and offensive rebounds, and it looked like he did a pretty good job of it tonight. But the refs decided elsewhere with that one. But when you look at the replay, you kind of see the ball off the cylinder, and that adds up with the little calls that Luka got and the little ones that Kyrie got. And as a Wolves fan, you think that Dallas kind of got a favored whistle tonight, but you can't blame it on that.
Let's face it, they're two big guns. Doncic and Irving put up 63 points, and for the Wolves, Towns ended up with 16. Ant ended up with just 19, and he even said, and so did Coach Finch after the game, that there were more opportunities for Ant to go downhill in that game, and that's something that I think we're going to see. And Ant will probably be the most harshest critic of himself, needs to assert himself a lot more in Game 2. But I think it's going to be a great series. I mean, it's a series. It's not one game, and I think we're taken aback a little bit by the fact that we had this emotional win against Denver, and Dallas comes in here. Dallas is a very good basketball team, and they're long, they're lean, they're young, they're hungry, and they got two superstars in Irving and Doncic.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not all bad for the Timberwolves, though.
No.
It still was a very close game.
Oh, my God.
And they just missed a lot of shots. I mean, a lot of shots that normally would have went in. They were 8 15 for 49 from three. It definitely felt like they got a little too 3-point happy there, especially towards the end and just throughout the game in general. 53s and only 36%.
And Dallas wasn't hitting their 3-pointers. They were 6 of 25.
Yeah. Right.
That's they hit a couple late ones in the fourth quarter, which, as I mentioned, turned things around when it looked like the Wolves were about to put their foot down. And with the crowd urging them on and finish them off, because you can have games like this, but kudos to Dallas. They were the better team down the stretch.
Yeah, a lot of 3-point shooting, but you look at the two-headed snake over in Dallas, and Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, they score, like you said, 63 points. Only 9 of those were from three. So they were getting inside the lane. They were being able to finish around the rim. Something that I thought, and we talked about it, pregame, I thought the Wolves would do that kind of stuff. Just when you look at, our front line and Kat and Nas and Rudy, you think, why would people want to come in there? But that's what Kyrie and Luka did all game, and we didn't go into them. We didn't go into Gafford. We didn't go into Lively. I think that's something that this Wolves team is going to watch and say, hey, we need to find a way to play inside-out basketball. And anybody that lives the game and sees the game, anytime you can start getting things to go in around the rim, then you can spray it out. Defense is collapsing in to out. We talk them inside to outside threes. They always play at a higher percentage. It's just like when you're shooting in the gym and somebody's rebounding for you. It's the same kind of shot. Somebody's kicking it out to you and you're shooting it and you're knocking it down. Those are the shots you want to have versus those awkward cross-court skips and, ball being deflected around the perimeter. But I just want to see us go inside a little bit more, be more aggressive, kind of set the tone when it comes to that.
Yeah, it feels like just like in that Nuggets series, that inside alley-oop to Rudy Gobert, it's there almost every time. I would have liked to see Rudy get involved in the offense a little bit more. But Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic were just incredible. It felt like every time we sent two at them, they found a wide-open guy in the paint. And every time it was one-on-one, then that's exactly what they wanted. They just cooked.
Yeah, I think it's going to look like that all series long. They're two tremendous players.
Well, and you're going to have unexpected sources of offense, and the Wolves got that tonight with both, Jaden McDaniels, and not that he was hotter than a pistol in the first half, and then Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, chipped in 11 points and was doing the right things and really was helping give this team some depth off the bench, which is what you thought would happen. But they were not good at the rim, as you mentioned, being able to shut them down. And when Rudy Gobert was out, Doncic really knows how to he's got great vision, doesn't he, partner? Yeah. He really sees that open man underneath and finds him for an easy basket especially when Rudy wasn't in there.
Yeah, he's like Jokic in that way, where he's always finding and making the right play, and then when it came down the stretch, you just knew he was going to make big shots.
I think the rest helped him a little bit too, because I was watching the end of their last series, and he was hobbling. He's had a bad knee. He looked a lot fresher tonight.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, in general, in general, the Mavericks looked just a little more fresh than we did. I think there was a play where I saw Anthony Edwards kind of just swing it and go to the corner, and it's like I don't ever really see that. Ant usually wants the ball in his hands, and he wants to be, he said it publicly, I want to be the guy that makes a shot, I want to be this and that. And then I just, a couple possessions where it just wasn't all there. Maybe that's fatigue, maybe that's tiredness, but I think Ant's going to watch that and be like, hey, that's not who I am, and come back game 2 ready to really put it on him.
Yeah, I would fully expect it. Anthony Edwards not super effective scoring wise, but found other ways to make his impact on the game. 8 assists and 11 rebounds. Almost a triple-double for Anthony Edwards, even on a bad game when we're holding him to this
crazy high standard, and it's like you got to take a step back and realize he's still, he played 41 minutes, he has 11 rebounds, he's 2 assists shy of a triple-double. He did a lot of really good things out there today, and you got to kind of take that into account as well.
And even just looking at the box score, this is normally a box score that you see when the Wolves win. We got 6 different guys in double digits. They passed the rock around. It wasn't like the Dallas Mavericks. It wasn't just Batman and Robin. It was the entire team that was cooking. Even Slow-Mo had an incredible first half, but it just didn't work out and in the Wolves' favor towards the end there. Real quick before we go to break, the obvious highlight for the game for the Wolves was Jaden McDaniels, 24 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. I know my guy John Barry, super positive and feeling upbeat about Jaden McDaniels' game.
Absolutely. He came out firing, and you know what? That's what we want from Jaden, and that helps everybody else. You got to make Luka work on defense. Luka doesn't do anything. He does what I do on defense.
And
just watch.
Yeah, it looks like that video of him smoking the hookah outside. He's just sitting there chilling, right?
You got to make him work, and so that's why Jaden's going to be so important for the rest of this series, for sure.
And Parker, does it look like Jaden McDaniels? I mean, this is 3 games in a row now that Jaden McDaniels has been making his impact offensively. Are we seeing anything different from Jaden McDaniels, or is it just a mindset? Is it just
we wouldn't be able to see it because he's so stoic. But no, I think it's just he's kind of that. When you talk about these playoff series, you talk about those others, and you always need one of those guys to step up. And I think Jaden's kind of recognized that, throughout the year. He's touted as this defensive guy and this defensive stopper, and yeah, that's what we need him to be. But hey, now you're granted these open threes because so much attention is attracted to Ant, so much attention is attracted to Carl, and it's like, you need somebody else to step up and first of all make open shots, but then also be able to create a little bit as well. I thought, yeah, he made some really good shots tonight and he did some really good things, but defensively he made Luka work, and then Luka was Luka tonight and just was able to create space and make shots, and that's something I grew up. My dad would always tell me, hey, if you played good defense and the guy made the shot, you just go down next possession. You can't dread about it, you can't worry. It's always that next possession mentality, and that's something I always see from Jaden. So I think we got to continue to see a really good Jaden offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I think in summary, what Chris Finch said near the end of his news conference was, we just have to be better in clutch moments. We just haven't had a game like this to go, okay, learn from this, because I know there are probably a lot of fans who are hugely disappointed, especially after the Denver game. But you have to remember it's a series, and we've seen this time and time again. Ask the Indiana Pacers what happened to the game last night in Boston, where they literally let that one get out of their fingertips. And I think they'll bounce back. I really do. But I mean, we obviously Friday night's game becomes a lot more important for Minnesota right now. But I think these teams match up really well. I don't think it's any big surprise that this was the type of game that we had. Right. From a basketball standpoint, didn't love the result, but I love the competitive aspect of it, and seeing these teams hammer at each other in a very clean kind of way. It was nothing cheap that happened. Just a really good basketball game.
Parker, I'd like to ask you, they got a lot of points from the mid-range. How do you, because the Wolves' defense is about stopping threes and stopping inside. How do you stop that mid-range game from Kyrie and Luka, since they're so good at it?
Well, yeah, they definitely took advantage of it. That's I think I'd love to see a shot breakdown of where they were taking their shots, but I think so much of it was in that mid-range, and you could tell the Wolves came out knowing that, hey, their 2-point shooters are Kyrie and Luka, and if PJ Washington or Derek Jones makes a couple threes, then so be it. You shake your hand, and then they know, hey, we got Rudy Gobert, we got Karl Anthony Towns at the rim, so we're not going to be able to get great stuff around there. Where can we find our offense? And that's in that mid-range. So I think the biggest thing is shrinking the floor. If you're guarding a PJ Washington in the corner, hey, how can I kind of be, 2 places at once? Our coaches always say it, it's like, if you want to win games, if you want to be great, you got to be 2 places at once. And we're like, what the hell do you mean 2 places at once?
That's not physically possible.
You can't be. But then you watch it on film and you're like, you're right. It's all about that extra effort. It's, can I swipe at a loose one? Yeah, Jaden's working his tail off to get around ball screens and get in front of the ball. But hey, if I'm Naz Reid and I'm guarding someone in the corner, can I sell out just a little bit more to make his vision blurry? And then that's hindsight 2020 with that kind of stuff, and you're like, that's not going to necessarily make him miss, but it's like doing those little extra things. That's what it takes to be a championship team, and I think that's something they're going to see in film is, hey, what else can we do? Because we were pretty good, but how can we be even better to win a series?
And this Wolves team is going to be in a dog fight of a series, but this team has shown us they got that dog in them all year long. So don't give up hope. It's one game, y'all. This is the most resilient Minnesota Timberwolves team that we have ever seen in franchise history. They will be back, and they will be barking. And we will be back right after this. This is Howlin' with the Homies, presented to you by ABC, American Building Contractors. And we'll be right back after this.
ABCwillhelp.com. ABC will help. ABC. American Building Contractors. ABCwillhelp.com. New roof, windows or gutters, siding or just a repair. ABC for new installation, insurance restoration. ABC is there.
Call today and get free gutters when you replace your roof with American Building Contractors. Restrictions may apply. Call for details.
ABCwillhelp.com.
At RBC Wealth Management, we know you have ideas for your future. Ideas that can have you enjoying the moment or owning the moment. They can bring investment opportunities or opportunities to invest in yourself. Ideas that can have you doing good or feeling great. From following your passion to making your passion work for you. What ideas will you bring to life? Know more with RBC Wealth Management.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale is here. Get a Sleepy's Queen mattress at the lowest price ever, just $89.99. This deal ends Tuesday, so don't wait. Visit Mattress Firm and save over 60%. In-store pickup only while supplies last. Find your nearest one today.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included with the activation of a Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Requires in-store activation. Device offer ends 6/9/24. Taxes and fees apply.
Hey, it's Guardsy to tell you all the savings you get when you DIY with UglyDeck.com. First, money. The average customer saves over $10,000. The second is time. Ugly Deck handles the details like material list, permit drawing, and free delivery. Third, frustration. A free coach, a deck academy, plus footing and ledger install means an easier, faster build. It's a trifecta of savings. Save money, time, and frustration with the DIY program at UglyDeck.com.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included with the activation of a Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Requires in-store activation. Device offer ends 6/9/24. Taxes and fees apply.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with a new way to enjoy our beautiful planet. Reduce your impact on the environment this fall by packing a waste-free lunch for school or work. Avoid foods with excessive packaging. Use reusable cutlery, napkins, cups, bags, and containers, and recycle or compost any waste when possible. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
The tenants of your rental property are great at throwing loud parties. Paying the rent on time, not so great. At renterswarehouse.com, take the stress out of property management. They specialize in locating reliable tenants for your property, usually in a matter of days. Our professionals do it all, including rent collection and maintenance coordination, all for one flat monthly fee. Find out how much your home will rent for. Get your free home price analysis at renterswarehouse.com. That's renterswarehouse.com.
Is the audio home for Timberwolves playoff basketball.
Rudy, baseline hammer, two-handed flush off the feed from Ant.
FM 100.3, KFXN, Minneapolis, St. Paul, The Fan.
Back to Howlin' with the Homies, presented to you by ABC, American Building Contractors. Your Minnesota Timberwolves find themselves down 0-1 after a close 108-105 loss to the Dallas Mavericks, and all of a sudden Friday's game is looking real must-win-ish, isn't it, Rosie?
Well, yeah, of course. I don't know if the home court will mean all that much. We saw that in the Denver series, but I think when you lose the first one at home, I remember even against the Lakers in 2004, the Wolves lost the first game to LA and they came back and won game 2. And that just gives you that impetus to go on the road. And, I mean, Dallas is, and we've seen the Wolves play some phenomenal basketball. I don't think they're going to be shaking in their boots going to Dallas.
No.
And we were just talking about during the break that, we got an every other day situation right now. So it's a game of adjustments. Chris Finch and his staff will be going back to work, and the team will be looking at a lot of film tomorrow and trying to figure out, this was a whole different, this Dallas team that they played this season is not the Dallas team that they played tonight.
No, they played all 4 of their games against the Mavericks before the trade deadline.
Correct. Yeah. And they have a different look to them, and so there's an adjustment period, yet it still was a very competitive game. And as I mentioned, the Wolves had an opportunity, I thought, to close it out with about 3.5 minutes to go. They were maybe 1 or 2 baskets away, I think, from really putting the pressure on Dallas.
Yeah.
They had the turnovers and the offensive rebound and a couple 3-point shots for Dallas, and that stemmed the tide for them.
You mentioned adjustments, Parker. We were talking off there about some of the things that Dallas did defensively to frustrate the Wolves. What did you see from the Mavericks? A lot of people, we think of the Dallas Mavericks as this high-end offensive team, but they're a pretty solid defensive team as well. They were top 10 in both categories.
Yeah, they were really handsy. That was one of the best defensive efforts I've seen from Kyrie Irving, guarding Anthony Edwards. Bleacher Reports talks about how, Kyrie kind of wanted that matchup and that kind of stuff. But no, they were super.
Careful what you wish for, Kyrie.
Yeah, no doubt, right? No, but they were super handsy. They hide Luka as much as they can defensively because, he is kind of a nightmare defensively. But, Ant talked about in his presser, their big man's low, so Gafford and Lively aren't really that high, so that's creating that. They're basically saying, hey, if you want to come off ball screens and chuck threes, then so be it. That's why I think we saw 49 threes tonight. So I'd love to see us. We often talk about how you don't want a defense to dictate what you do. You don't want to change how you play. We even talked about this pregame.
Right.
We're going to continue to play Wolves basketball, and whatever that means, stick to that. So I'd like to see us get downhill a little bit more. I'd like to see us put pressure on the rim, kind of play inside out, and just force Denver to work. Dallas to work defensively.
We doing the same.
I know.
Thing too.
2 Ds back to back. No, I just don't think we made them work as much as we could defensively. And I think over a 7-game series, I like our bench. I like our depth. This is the 94th game of the season, so it's like you've played a lot of games. Wow. So it's like you got to continue to make people work because Luka's a little hobbled. I think everybody's a little tired, but how can you kind of get over that hump? And I think for me, that's something where it's like you got to put pressure on the defense. You got to make them work, and you can't let little things kind of disturb you as a team.
Yeah, and somebody that kind of had maybe the most brutal game of all was Mike Conley Jr., 6 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He just didn't seem like himself tonight, you guys.
No, he did not. He missed some of those alley-oop passes that he had, and we were just talking about it. We'd rather see him even have the little floater himself and try to shoot the ball as opposed to get it to Rudy Gobert, and that backfired on him a couple of times. And yeah, it's not when you go 1 for 6 3-point shot, and Mike's usually really good at that. And they also missed, he missed 3 free throws, and he's the best free throw shooter on the team. They were 11 for 18 shooting free throws. Let's keep that in mind. Where Dallas was 16 out of 17. That's kind of your game right there.
That's the difference right there.
The difference right there. Minnesota missed too many free throws, and when you come down to a game like this where every point matters, you got to knock down those freebies.
We're all being downers, but MC John B is he's the most hopeful one. He's still got that starry look in his eyes. He's the hype man for a reason. John Barry, give Wolves fans some hope.
This hope is coming. Just to let you all know, we get a game 5 now. So we get 3 games in this series at home, and that's what I love. I love seeing the Target Center just live. It's a Wednesday night. It's a school night. It was popping all night. I can't wait for Friday. It's going to be off the chain. You thought Wednesday was crazy? Friday's going to be even crazier. Let's go.
Right. We really need to fly Kevin Garnett into the Twin Cities now because we need everybody as lit as they can be.
I will say, we just have to hit shots. That's essentially what it is. If we hit shots, we'll win game 2. I wasn't mad about them giving up 108. They did everything right defensively, almost everything right defensively. But I'll take that effort once again in game 2. Just hit the shots, and we'll come home with a win.
Yeah, it wasn't like they outplayed the Wolves significantly. It wasn't like the Wolves shot themselves in the foot a million times.
We only had 10 turnovers.
Exactly. Yeah. There's not I'm looking through the box score, combing through it, and I'm trying to find what
it's literally
happened.
Hit shots.
It just was
hit
missing shots that they normally hit.
Yes.
It's really not that hard. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to make the shots. We're making the shots here. This is Howlin' with the Homies, a.k.a. Wolves Fan Line, presented to you by ABC. And Corey from Mendota Heights wants to howl with the Homies. What's good, Corey?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Fun atmosphere tonight, no doubt about it. Parker, I think, hit it right on the head, though. You think of the Denver series and how easily Ant got by the perimeter, right? And drove to the basket, was able to throw some down or lay it up or pass it to somebody, kick it out. They just could not get around the perimeter tonight, and I think that was surprising how well Kyrie played defensively. And then Kyrie, in the first, right by us in the perimeter. He was quicker than us tonight, and I think that was the biggest difference in the game. You know, when you settle for 49 threes, that's a sign that you're just not driving the ball to the basket. But I'll hang up. Fun atmosphere. Great job, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's right. You know,
Right.
I think, and it's just like, it's one of those things, too, where it's like, you want to dictate how the series is going to go. You know, a lot of times game one will kind of dictate, and obviously we have a chance to flip it Friday night, and you don't want to be like, hey, it's over now because we didn't get to the rim, and you know, whatever that may be. But I think game two, we got to come out and say, hey, we're going to dictate how the flow of this is going to go. We're going to dictate the physicality. We're going to dictate the speed, you know, and I think that starts with the guy who's got the ball in his hands the most, Ant. You know, I think he'll recognize that and find ways to get downhill and make plays. Although, you know, the one thing for me with Ant that I kind of get so frustrated off is he just doesn't really get that kind of like superstar whistle very often.
No.
And, you know, we saw
For being the face of the league,
Yeah,
he's
I
certainly
know.
not getting face of the league calls.
No, he's not. And we saw tonight how Luka kind of manipulates these refs and is able to get calls.
Seriously.
And
if drawing fouls was an art, Luka is Picasso.
he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal with it. But no, I think, you know, inevitable kind of happens with that kind of stuff. And you know, Ant, I hope he doesn't shy away because he's not getting calls. And I don't see that. But I think it's a deal where he's got to continue to get downhill, trust his work, and then he's that explosive bounce. There's nobody with a first step like Anthony Edwards. Like, I'd love to see him utilize that.
Really, when it came down to it, our two stars were not as good or as effective as their two stars.
Right.
And I know Barkley said in the postgame show, Cat needs to utilize his size a little bit more, too. And that's part of it. I mean, he had an off night as well, 6 for 20 from the field, 2 for 9 from three-point shot. You know, and he loves to take those three-pointers. But you know, we can talk about all the role players, but really, when it comes down to it, it's about the big meow and Ant. If they're gonna win this series, those two guys have to elevate their game and elevate this team 100%.
We got a texter on the text line saying it seemed like they could not only get nothing down low, but our defense in the paint was also miserable. Can you talk about that a bit?
I think we just missed some things. Like I thought there was. I mean, you got to give Kyrie Irving some credit. I think he's the best finisher of the basketball of all time, and I'm not afraid to say that. Right?
No,
you know, straight up.
I totally agree. And that was vintage Kyrie. Tonight,
he had some stuff where it's like you take a bump and you just throw it up and kiss it off the glass and it goes in. Like you got to give him some credit. But I also think I think if Rudy Gobert goes back and watches that game, he wants some of those back. Where he's like, I could have got that one.
Right.
Or maybe I didn't block it, but I could have, you know, altered his angle a little bit. Or, you know, I think there was a couple offensive rebounds too and second chance opportunities where it's like the Timberwolves have been so good protecting the paint with that big three down there with Nas, Cat, and Rudy, and it's like we didn't show that today. Like that wasn't prevalent today. So I'd like to see us find ways to kind of make that a more prevalent thing in our defense.
The players just sort of shrug it off. I mean, they know it's a series. You've been through. I mean, it's like it's one game.
Oh yeah.
They're used to it. They lost 3 in a row last time I left to Denver.
Yeah. Right.
And had to overcome a lot. So, you know, I don't think one game is going to affect these guys. They're going to lose any sleep over it. They just got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, they're a resilient team. Even if they lose on Friday, I'm never going to stop believing in this team. I don't even want to think about that, but I'm never going to stop believing in this team. This team has made more comebacks than Rocky Balboa himself. I'm always going to have faith. And like you said, Rosie, this is a more mature team. This is a more mentally and emotionally grounded team. I don't think they're going to get too down about themselves. I think they're going to come out hot on Friday and hit the Dallas Mavericks with a counter punch. This is Wolves Fan Line, a.k.a. Howlin' with the Homies. We're going to take one more call before we sign off here. Desmond from Rochester, you are our final caller. What do you want to talk about, Desmond?
Hey, we were at Game 6. We were at Game 1 tonight. It seemed like the Nuggets and then the Mavs were working the refs pretty good during the timeouts, telling them what to watch for. What is your thoughts right before that call on Conley, that push that got a little bit of feedback from the crowd. Seemed like it was the Mavs really telling them to watch for that. I wanted your thoughts on if the Wolves coaching staff can maybe push a little bit themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a hard deal too, where it's like, you hope that you can just, win a basketball game with some integrity and, you can just get it done. But I didn't love that Mike call. I thought it was a very, subtle act. I actually see it happen to myself a lot as well, where it's like you put the hand on a defender, but you're not actually like extending or pushing off. So you're not actually creating. His jump was late, and that's what that forced. And you kind of saw Mike Conley walk it off and be like, they missed that call.
Yeah.
And I think they did. So I don't know. I think working over the refs is a hard thing to do. I try to pepper them up every time I can, and ask them how the family is and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know exactly the solution to that. They got a guy like Luka Doncic who's pretty good at it, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well,
guys?
Jason Kidd is to me, his temperament is the same as it was when he was a player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty cool on the sidelines.
He is,
he's not as nearly as demonstrative as Malone was with Denver. And he may still be working the refs, but the officiating crew, all the veterans, they pretty much rotate throughout the playoffs right now, and you can always pick apart a play or two. And there were certainly even a couple of that you could question, but I don't think it decided the game tonight. I really don't.
No, and it's Mike Conley. It's not like it's Dwayne the Rock Johnson pushing someone down over there. I mean, that was a little bit ridiculous, but like we said, there's a million other things to blame. It ain't the ref's fault.
No.
As we close out Howlin' with the homies for the night, what are you guys' final thoughts heading into Game 2 on Friday? We'll start with John Barry here.
Just make shots, and the crowd needs to come out even fired up on Friday, even more so. Like, y'all were fired up tonight, but I know we can bring it to another level on Friday.
Yeah, continue that energy, continue that aura. Me and Max have talked about it. I think we're a team that plays at our best when we have that aura, that swag, that confidence. We're yelling at the crowd. You got Cat pumping up the crowd, Ant pumping up the crowd. Like that's
asking people where they at.
Exactly. That's who I think this team is, and I think this team sets the tone. I thought the tone was brought to them tonight. I'd like to see them kind of flip that script and set the tone. Game 2 Friday night.
You have to remind yourself this is the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Two teams standing. That's it. And it's a golden opportunity for the Wolves to make this a series on Friday night. And then all bets are off, as they say. Then we're going to have a hell of a series. This is a really well-matched. I mean, I enjoyed it from a basketball standpoint, watching Kyrie and Doncic do their thing and the Wolves trying to counter, and they had opportunities late. They didn't play as well as they have in many of the Denver games, but I think it's going to be a long series.
I do as well. I might have to adjust my Wolves in 5 pre-series prediction. It's going to be a hell of a series. It was a hell of a game, just didn't shake out for your Minnesota Timberwolves. They lose 108-105. This has been Wolves Fan Line, a.k.a. Howlin' with the homies, and we'll be howling and hootie-hooing after every single game this series. We'll be right back on Friday before and after the game, so you don't want to miss that. And hopefully your Minnesota Timberwolves can bounce back big and tie this thing up. No matter what happened tonight, there's still just 4 wins away from the NBA Finals, y'all. Don't give up hope just yet. This is Wolves Fan Line signing off for Parker Fox, Mark Rosen, John Barry. This is Max Fullen. We'll be back with more hope and heart and guts on Friday night. We'll see you then.
ABCwillhelp.com. ABC will help. ABC. American Building Contractors. ABCwillhelp.com. New roof, windows or gutters, siding or just a repair. ABC. For new installation, insurance restoration. ABC is there.
Call today and get free gutters when you replace your roof with American Building Contractors. Restrictions may apply. Call for details.
ABCwillhelp.com.
At RBC Wealth Management, we know you have ideas for your future. Ideas that can have you enjoying the moment or owning the moment. They can bring investment opportunities or opportunities to invest in yourself. Ideas that can have you doing good or feeling great. From following your passion to making your passion work for you. What ideas will you bring to life? Know more with RBC Wealth Management.